Well, welcome to the Game Club discussion for Relooted, y'all. Hope you guys are doing really well. Um, just want to kind of go around and have everyone introduce themselves and let us know if you were able to play the game, how much of you were able to play for it, and then we'll get started just talking about overall gameplay, overall character designs, the game design, and everything. So, yeah, if everybody wants to kind of go around, I
You
guess I'll
first,
start first.
Darius.
Actually, yeah. um, I only played the demo, but I actually ended up watching the rest of it. I just couldn't really purchase it this time for this game club. But from what I watched and what I experienced through just watching other people play it, it was really good. Really some really good polish on this actually. I really do actually want to get this game when I can, financially. I like puzzle games a lot. It's one of my kind of my niches, but I love puzzle games that also, even though this game is like kind of time based a little bit into some regard, you don't actually have to do the time, portion of it, if that makes sense. Um, it's kind of refreshing. But anyways, yeah.
Hey, Tim here. I got through about 80% of the game. And then I ended up watching their last 20% to finish up the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my turn.
I'll Dave, you want to go?
Okay, yeah. Well, it's Dave. Vyrix, the sound guy, and I hadn't played it. I did watch a lot of gameplay of it. Um, I do want to try to get into it and play a bit more of it, or play a bit of it, but I hadn't played it. I'm just oh just watching it and looking at the way that it looks.
Yeah.
All right, and I'm Chris. I have been playing through it for the past like 2 hours. I'm still actively playing it, so I'm not done. But I think I've made it. I've made it to chapter 2, I believe. So relatively early on in the game. But yeah, so that's me.
Hey yo, um, my name is Wayne. I only played the demo, and sorry if my mic is kind of crazy right now. I'm outside and it's raining, but yeah, I enjoyed from what I played of it. Looking forward to the conversation.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So it
Awesome.
really just me that actually played.
Yeah. I guess so. I actually like played it and everything.
Tough.
Yeah.
It's not a long game. It's about um
Is it
eight
about 8 hours or
to ten
so?
hours.
Yeah.
8 to 10 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess just to kind of just start with the first impressions. What were everyone's like I guess initial thoughts about after playing Reloaded or after watching it? You know, I guess personally for me, like I was saying, I know that I'm very interested in actually picking up this game when I can. I do love puzzle games. Um, like for me personally, because I'm a Wario Land fan. I played Wario Land 3 when I was like really little, and I used to love like the component of like running to the end after you like meet the goal of the level, if that makes sense. So that's one intriguing part for me, and then also the puzzle part of it as well. Really, kind of was like, oh, this game, like, it's something I really need to pick up when I get a chance after watching it. But yeah. What were some of you guys' initial thoughts about the game as well?
Yeah, I know. On my end, at least, like when I was like first like in like, the first chapter, first two chapters, um, yeah, it was like kind of clicked after a bit because it has this like really like opening narrative sequence, and
Mm-hmm.
I really like how it introduces the world first and foremost. Like from the title screen, I was like kind of like I sat on the title screen for like a minute,
Yeah.
just kind of like vibing. um, I was like, oh, this is cool. You know, we got this kind of like these African instruments and
Yeah.
the language and everything like that. I was like, this is dope. You know, and then getting into like actual like the early part of the story in like Johannesburg and like some part of the future. Um, you know, like it doesn't seem like super futuristic, but it is like still different from modern day. So it kind of has that vibe a little bit. Um, but yeah, I was definitely kind of getting into the thing of like, okay, like this is like getting to like the first two missions. It's like, okay, like this game is a puzzle game, right? I was like trying to like figure out what this thing is. It's like this is a puzzle game plus with the whole like runner you know, escape runner style gameplay, which I think is pretty neat. Um, yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting to kind of have like this dynamic because I don't think I've played something that is like exactly like this before. Like, you
Hmm.
know, some stuff that's been similar or has like pieces of it, but not like this kind of combination of
Yeah.
these two things, you know. Um, so I was like, okay, this is kind of neat. This is fun. I like. I was like, it takes a little bit to kind of get into it. I think like after you like kind of start the first chapter, but it kind of hits its stride a little bit after that. After you like kind of get past the tutorial stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I oh, I did on the topic of tutorial. I did think the tutorial was kind of clean.
Mm,
Like
yeah, I'd agree.
it was very the like just I was playing through it and noticing some of the like UX touches. Like they do sprinkle in some story stuff and lore, but the thing I was like kind of fascinated about was like how sometimes the game will just let you go and like you can kind of experiment with the controls on your own until it gets to a point that is like context based because like I was like running around the free running area or the tutorial area and I got to a part where I could crouch and I held down on my controller and I just crouched and did it and there was no prompt that showed up for that but and then like the only time I did like after it introduced like the boost mechanic there were times when I would do part of the tutorial and like no prompt would pop up and I'd just be boosting all over the place. But if I got stuck, it would wait for me and then it would wait for me to try and solve it myself and then show like the button prompt that I needed to. And that's nice. More games need to do that.
Hmm.
I get what you mean.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with that. Yeah, on my end, like I think all of it was really well done. I agree with Chris on that. I think there's one thing that I wanted to, I guess, like add as a request for the tutorial. There was a certain part where I'm trying to remember, like if it was in the actual first mission, um, or in the setup of the heist, right? Because that's the cool thing about it. It like you have like the prep period before you do a heist. Um, I'm not sure. Let me remember it for a bit, because I want to be very specific with that note. Actually,
Yeah. No problem.
Valid.
okay, no problem. Yeah.
And
Actually,
oh, sorry.
Darius and Chris, since y'all had just played it recently, like how can y'all remind me like how the what happens in the opening? Like in you know like
Yeah,
after you hit start and like
I think one of the first things you see is like a cutscene of your character's brother getting like beaten up because he's been captured, and then it kind of just drops you immediately into the free running level, like where you have to parkour to get to where he is to free him, and then you have to go and pick up. They introduce the looting mechanic like in this part. Oops, sorry. Introduce the looting mechanic in this location because you have to like you have to pick up your brother's arm and then the ring that was on that arm, and you have to do that in 2 separate locations. It's pretty neat.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also,
I was trying to recall about like how that opening sequence started up. If it like dropped us right into the gameplay, and it does. So I think that's a really strong choice to do that.
Yeah. Plus, like, I think there's quite a few like snazzy decisions like in regards to writing there too. During the tutorial for working with your brother, there's a bit where he says like, you can't like. I wrote it down because like it was a unique bit of like writing and environment design that made me chuckle. Where okay, yeah, like there's a quote where you're running and it says sheer walls don't stop Nomali, which is your character, and that voice line triggers right as you jump up and like do a wall jump sequence up a couple of sheer walls, and then you run headfirst into a locked door, and as you do, another door in the environment opens up, and your brother is sitting there, and he finishes the sentence with "But locked doors do," and that got me. I was just like, "Oh, this is a unique moment of story and gameplay meshing together." And tutorial. That was clean. I thought it was a nice little joke that made me go, haha, I see your game. Nice job.
Yeah, no, I really did like that part. I like when like games use dialogue like that to really kind of not only explain how the gameplay will work, but also like just the personalities of the characters as well. It was a really good introduction to both of them actually. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I think I remember what it was. So in the first mission, you basically have those like 2 locations that you're able to like set up for. I think his name was Ndedi, and your brother. And I was thinking that when it came to like your brother and Ndedi, I was like, okay, I wish they would have kept the input indicators for that mission as well, because there was a certain area in the map where you're kind of led to believe in the tutorial that like you can only use like communication with them while you're like right next to the blue shadow figure that they leave behind. But in the mission, there was like all kinds of places where like you could be like in the middle of the room or like far back, and you could still like summon your or communicate like that. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm trying to say, but like in the tutorial, they kind of like have you thinking, okay, here's how to activate the communication in the most basic form, right? And then they kind of jump to in the mission, like, oh, you can also activate it like way back here. When in the tutorial, you couldn't really do that before.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I see. I think I know.
Other than that, it's really nitpicky, but like it's something that I thought was interesting because like you wouldn't really think about it, because I'm pretty sure that it was probably like a polish cut or something like that. That like it just makes sense, right? The way that they did it is just, I don't know, it took a little like thinking about the mechanics and like, oh, you like I have to rewire the way that you think about communication, but yeah.
That makes sense. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Oh, also.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
You're fine.
I noticed there was a thing with like it's easy. It'll be easy to see in this interaction that I'm currently having, but the default response emotion for most characters seems to be like they just they have their arms out and they do like it's like a very, I'm doing it right now. It's a very common filler gesture to be like when you're enunciating and like emphasizing your words with your hands. I think it is also unfortunate that it kind of does look like he's doing like everyone's doing like the 6-7 thing. Like it's neat. Like I think like he's doing it now, but yeah.
Oh, I was like 6,
I mean,
7. Oh,
everyone responds like that. Yeah. So it's very common. Like I saw it with there's an interaction she has earlier with her other parkour friends and freerunning friends, and everyone is just doing it. It's very distracting, but it is nice.
That's no, yeah, that was another note. The script is amazing. It's just the animations, whether it's facial or yeah.
yeah.
I hear you,
Yeah,
Chris.
yeah. I because like I noticed there I like I'm an animation buff, and I know that like one of the hardest things to get right is like lip flaps. And once you've noticed, like a lot of the shots in this game are handled with the character who is speaking. Normally, will have the camera behind them, behind their head, so you don't see their mouth. And it's smart, it's economic, but it is kind of distracting if you're looking for that.
Mm.
Mm.
And you know, and, yeah, maybe it was a time thing. I don't know, but I think they had to make maybe a decision of like, do we keep the dialogue strong, or you know, do we let the dialogue suffer? But then I don't know, but you know, there could have been a lot of reasons maybe for that.
If that was the choice, then I'm pretty sure they made the right decision on dialogue lines
Yeah,
because they be funny.
yeah, I agree. I think if that was like their mindset and like their what the kind of the decision that they make, I think they did a good job with that. And also the voice actors are very good too. I have to add that as well. I think Dave mentioned it, but yeah, the audio actually is really good in this game too. I have been exploring different music lately, and hearing the music in this game, it was really great. I've been listening to some. I apologize if I butcher
I second that.
yeah, I apologize if I butcher the name of this, but I'm listening to a lot of Empino, like South African like
From
house music.
Mapiano?
Yeah. Sorry, I apologize for butchering it, but I've been
Mm-hmm.
listening to a lot of it lately, and I know this is not exactly the same style, but you know, the obviously has some influences because it's connected genre wise. But yeah, really good music, really good voice actors with the dialogue, and really good sound design too. So, anyways, I just wanted to add that in real quick.
Mm. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, I think the voice acting mostly hits the spot.
Yeah.
I think some of the later characters in the story are like not as good as the original cast. I think in a couple
Okay.
areas, but I think largely with like the main crew. I mean, y'all haven't met Fred yet, so he's one of the like main like hacker dudes that you end up meeting.
Yeah, I saw
Um,
that part. Yeah, with Fred.
Yeah, Fred's cool. I do like the character personality dynamics between everybody.
Mhm.
I think they did a pretty good job at like kind of giving each person like their own little, you know, uh, way of talking, especially with like the accents, but also just like their personality and how they have some kind of dynamic between each other. Um, you don't get a lot of time for their relationships to like really develop, I
With
guess you could
love.
say in a sense, right? But a lot of them come with like relationships that they already had, so that you get those dynamics at play, and then just kind of like circumstantial um, team conversation. Um, so I think it's like does a pretty decent job when it comes to that. Um, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, but maybe I haven't got like to the end of my gameplay watching of it, so I
Yeah,
actually genuinely wanted to play
the
it.
crew
Yeah.
gets to like what 7 people I think by the end of the
Yeah.
game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that was, I guess that's a good point because I was like, well, from the beginning, we only know so many people, and even though like it kind of it starts us off with like, oh, they obviously have a relationship together based off of how they interact with each other. I always love that kind of stuff because it's like you can kind of be like, oh wow, it's like I can tell like their relationship just based on how they meet. But yeah, I haven't really met some of the older characters, some of the later characters. So okay.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. It is like I don't know if we've talked about game. Sorry, I've been splitting attention between actually playing the game and
Nope, you're
both,
fine.
but I don't know if we've talked about game feel yet,
We
but
haven't. We haven't talked about any much of the gameplay. Yeah.
uh, I do feel like the moment to moment when you're actually running, like if you get like a good line and you can just perfectly jump, like you get your perfect slides, your wall jumps and everything, game can feel really good. And I think most of that is carried on the visuals and the feedback you get from executing these commands, because the commands themselves aren't very complicated. Like it's literally just hold right, press X at most, press X and A, or whatever your equivalent is, most of the time. Just hold right, press your parkour interaction button and jump, and it still feels pretty good. Only downside I have is like there are certain. I think the context triggers for your actions can be a bit like too sensitive, because there was early on I got like it wouldn't let me crawl because every time I got up close to this wall, it wanted me to wall jump. But this was a wall. This was like a shipping container, and you had to walk like crouch under it, and it just wouldn't let me do that for whatever reason. But I was there for like maybe an extra minute than necessary. It was like a minor point of friction, but everything else seems pretty solid. I'm waiting. I want to see how the game gets a bit more complex, because right now I only have Trevor's lockpick. Not, I don't think his name's Trevor.
Right.
But I have the lockpicking thing, and that's about it. I do like that he has a ton of context barks for like finishing a lock, like picking a lock, because he will say he has like 4 different ways of saying the locksmith when he's after he does his job, and I think it's very cute.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think that's pretty true throughout the whole game to a degree, Chris.
Hmm?
Things get more complex in terms of the platforming that you have to do. Um,
Word.
so there's that element of things. The button presses stay the same, right? I think like from early on playing the game, I was kind of like thinking about that as far as like um, the simplicity of the post puzzle experience, so to speak, the running experience,
Mm.
the platform part of it, and I think it reminded me of like the whole boost system, for example, reminded me of like back in during the Shadow of Mordor and the Shadow of War game series. There's like an unlockable that you end up getting that I think a couple other games have done it too, but like you end up when you jump over something, if you time your button press, right, it gives you a boost, right? And so that
Ooh.
became like a skill of like, okay, I can like run fast if I time my jumps and time my landing timings, right? That also reminds me of like Mirror's Edge, where like if you time your landing, then you get a roll that allows you to keep your momentum, right? So I think it was a good choice to like simplify that kind of thing to kind of still kind of get that kind of like speed feeling and like timing for like making you feel cool, you know,
Mm.
as you like figure out your line and stuff like that. But yeah, I think as you continue in the chapters, right, they basically introduce new hazards and then new characters. Um, like I mean, like trying to let me double check where we're at in the current story here. We're not in the next mission yet. But pretty much you get like some new equipment or you get a new person. Like Ndedi will join your team later, and he'll be able to use some of his skills during your missions. But then also you'll get a couple new um, like props and hazards that you'll have to use in Ndedi specifically to like get help to get past that issue in the mission. And it's still just an X pressed. It's still just like the button press to like use his ability when it's time, right? But it's just like a different thing you have to think about. It's like, okay, and Ndedi's going to be here, so I want to do it here, and then Trevor's going to be here, so I'll call Trevor, have him do his thing in the lock, right, and then I'll move to that next section, right, that kind of thing. Um, so I think it's like all in favor of like keeping a good flow, so to speak, of like just focus on your direction that you're going to go in, focus on your platforming, your jumps, and your timing of the jump button and um your like team button essentially, and then try to be as quick as possible with executing it while you're running essentially. Um, yeah, I think it works well for a speed kind of based thing, where you don't have a lot of time to see everything that's happening. Um, yeah.
Gotcha. That's neat.
The other part that
I'm
y'all
glad.
haven't
I mean,
gotten
that's
to
something for
yet.
me to look forward to.
Yeah, yeah. The other part you haven't gotten to yet. At some point, we'll get to it in this video. Um, that we're going through after all this dialogue and stuff. But I think it may already introduce like Nunu, the robot that you get.
Okay.
Have y'all seen that one yet?
No, I haven't seen. I haven't seen
Lightly
that.
remember it.
Okay. Yeah. The
It's
Nunu,
is good. Oh, sorry.
yeah, Nunu is like a it's like a drone basically, essentially, that you get the control
Oh yeah.
at the beginning of your missions. Yeah, I think it's like I think it's like in the form like a bumblebee or something. But I like that mechanic because they introduced it like a couple chapters in. But I really think that like once they introduced that, because initially I was like, oh man, I wish I could plan out my path, my trajectory,
Hmm.
and like see what's going on. And then you get Nunu, and then you can use this drone to basically like find all the details in the level and like figure out like what your route's gonna be, essentially. So you get that's like your planning drone. You use it to like plan out where you're gonna go, what the things are to like grab, and like get that information. And I was like, okay, that's perfect. Now we can plan properly, map it out, get our own little map of the space, and then we can execute it once we like figure out all the puzzles, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
so that really like kind of brought everything like together, I think.
The bigger the team gets, the riskier it becomes.
I like that part quite a bit.
I trust Fang.
Does Fen know what we are doing?
No.
Good.
I did want to read. Scott actually replied to our game club
But he is a
channel and chat. This I did want to read what he wanted to kind of add in since he wasn't be able to be here today. Pretty much he was saying that one thing about the
For
similar
gameplay stuff.
yeah
Yeah.
about it, talking about the gameplay. He was pretty much saying when he was thinking when he was I'm just gonna read exactly what he when thinking about similar comparable games, I couldn't help but keep coming back to the original Sly Cooper trilogy. He's kind of comparing Relooted to Sly Cooper, and he was wondering if anybody resonated with that, and if so, like why. And also, the second part of his question was on a thematic level, the original impetus for the Sly games was the thief of a family heirloom and the noble thieves who steal it back, parallel stolen cultural artifacts. And then his final question was, how does that impact the theme and like how Relooted feels, which we kind of went about the game. Yeah, just want to know if anybody had any similarities to that feeling of like Sly Cooper when it comes to of the comparable game.
Be honest with me.
What do you think of Daddy?
Hmm. Yeah, the Sly games. Yeah, I definitely see the resemblance, the comparison there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And of course, like Sly Cooper being like way, way, way more platformer focused.
Yeah.
Of course, more like a proper third-person platformer action game. Um,
Yeah.
but the themes and just like the whole idea of like working with your team together to steal these things for a noble purpose. That definitely resonates. Um,
Yeah.
I
I
like
think.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think definitely the I guess like the story of it kind of similar, but like you said, I think the gameplay wise, definitely a different feeling. Like World definitely was a little more about like a third person. I'm sorry, third 3D platformer. Sorry. Wow, this is
Hmm.
just directly puzzles and then kind of getting out. I guess is why I brought up Wario Land 3 a little bit more so. But I guess Wario Land 3 really doesn't do the same thing either, except for, once you get that final objective or goal, then you have to kind of race back to your pretty much your escape vehicle and stuff like that. Wario Land was like that a little bit to when whenever you get your objective and you have to run back to the beginning and you know and then that's how you kind of escape the level. But yeah, so
Oh
still
yeah.
though, I think it
Okay.
definitely resonated like theme wise though, when it comes to like stealing back the artifacts and you know returning it back to the rightful place. Yeah, I think that's very similar to that.
That's a good point. Yeah. 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 It's been so long since I played Sly Cooper.
Yeah.
But I remember like I guess I can see like why like Scott even like gameplay wise these are like very like they're different, but the
Mm-hmm.
whole idea of like stealing the thing and then bringing it back somewhere, like you said, Wario Land's a good one. I haven't played that one in a long time either, so that's a good mention. Um, you know, I also thought about obviously they thought about like Uncharted and Tomb Raider
Mm-hmm.
from a different perspective. You know,
Yeah.
um, 'cause it is about like stealing artifacts, but like from their actual rightful place. It's
Yeah.
the opposite,
A little bit of the opposite.
you know. But you are performing a heist of sorts, in a sense, but in a more like ancient environments usually, that have traps and things that you have to figure out how to get past.
Yeah.
Um, so there's some similarity there in how that represents. Um, but I do like how Scott brought up Sly, and then that actually relates to something I have been thinking about earlier this week, related to like these kind of heist style games. Um, like specifically like these character driven heist games.
Mm-hmm.
They're like third person or whatever. So Tomb Raider, Sly, Uncharted, right? Or like, you know, I was thinking y'all haven't gotten that
Even
far.
Sonic.
Which one?
I was saying even Sonic.
Yeah.
Sonic 2, huh? I get. Oh, I guess like for the Emerald
That's what I
ones.
was thinking about. I was like, this reminds me of like I was expecting Sonic when I saw the trailers, when I saw everything,
Mm-hmm.
but then the
Hmm.
heist came and things like that. It kind of like reminded. I had to like it was a shock to my system, and then it kind of got to me when like I saw my total score and I was like, oh snap! I thought I like cleared it like well before the ending, but like they really want you to like feed into that like fast paced like escape once that alarm
Mm,
hits. So yeah,
that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that speed competition type thing. It's a good point there. Yeah.
and I think it's interesting because like you don't really like see like things like really compete with like Sonic. when thinking about like escape route, and it's such a unique like spin to it because they're humanoid characters rather than like animals. So yeah,
Uh-huh.
Oh, Dave's back.
Sorry, mic was broken.
All good.
Yay. Yeah, I hear that, Wayne. I hear that. Yeah. Mm-mm. Yeah, I do like that part. About the whole like the rating system. I I guess like initially my feeling was like, oh, they should have a high score leaderboard for the game,
like multiplayer like leaderboard kind of like
like an
the
online leaderboard, you know,
yeah, maybe like a little
for
time trial.
replayability.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Like a speed run type deal.
Yeah, uh-huh. They're already
It
giving
would
you
it
the
would be
ratings.
interesting to see it. It's I know that like yeah, it would definitely be interesting to actually see that, to see like a
Yeah.
community come out of this, almost running community.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole rating system for these speed games, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like how quickly can you execute, and then you get graded on that, like the Sonic comparison. So it's like, oh yeah, obviously this leads itself to leaderboards, like how well can you execute your plan? Uh,
Yeah.
what's the best thing to do? Um, but yeah, um, yeah, it is interesting though. Yeah, I think I was thinking about like these third person, I guess you could call them like adventure platformer heist type games. And
yeah,
you know having like
2.5D.
but two well yeah I guess it's
Yeah.
2.5D, mostly 2D, but yeah, yeah, that is true, yeah. um but like the whole element behind them of like having to like do these feats and like figure out, like learn about the artifact that you're going to go steal, right? Work with your team on executing the heist, and then all the different like gameplay things that happen as a result of the execution, right? um in particular, and like I was thinking that this experience, like what it does really well is like it gets that whole aspect of the heist feeling of like, okay, we're going to pull off like Ocean's 11 or the Ocean series, right? Like we're going to pull off this big heist together. Here's the plan. Here's the research that goes into it. We're going to we're going to dig into the artifact and learn about it, learn about the location, scout it out. Like it kind of gets that whole like that experience and kind of nails that like really well. Um, but I guess like the part of it that kind of, I think it kind of ends up losing as a result of kind of like systemically making that a part of the experience is like in comparison to like these other examples you listed, like those joints are like a little bit more like either like more cinematic or more like kind of gamey, where like they just kind of either drop you into the space and you got to figure out like, hey, like while you're laying, I was like, hey, here's what you got to go get.
Mm-hmm.
Now go do it, right? There's no planning, right? It's just go do it.
Yeah.
And then the stuff like Uncharted and Tomb Raider and Sly is like, hey, the team's planning, but like there's going to be all these different surprises along the way. You're kind of you're kind of learning out more details as you play through the level, and your people are like having conversations or having dialogue over the intercom, and it's kind of having those details kind of come in. So it's like it lends itself to a bit more like dynamic play with those experiences because you're just like figuring it out as you go, and there's no planning, there's no pre stuff to it, right? And so I think that makes this like a distinctly different kind of experience because of like the whole puzzly figure out what you need to do first, then execute the thing. But you end up losing a little bit of that kind of like that character story that I think that kind of Scott like mentions with the Sly thing of like connecting to the main character in a stronger way, because there's not a lot of like backstory. There's not a lot of like character progression or antagonistic people that show up or drama that shows up throughout the game, as y'all will see, like as y'all play more of it. Like there's less of that going on, and so you don't get as much of like a character story of like, they start from point A and they get to point B, and these are the things that happen to them and why they get through this thing or whatever, you know. So I feel like that's like an interesting area that they kind of like were not able to tap into much, unfortunately, just with like the narrative progression and how that connects to the gameplay setup. And maybe it's in part due to the puzzle structure, and it's a little bit harder to do that because of like this structure that they've made for the game. But I couldn't help but feel like, oh yeah, that's like lacking. Like I'm not connecting to the main character that much. But I like the team,
I
but I'm not
gotcha.
like connecting in a strong way, you know.
Yeah, like, I'm kind of hoping that there is more to. Oh my gosh, I forget her name. I'm realizing very quickly that I am name blind and face blind. But the main character, I'm she does have like some fun banter with some of the other characters, but I'm hoping that we get to see more to her because like I want to see why like how she and her brother were related to this crime boss
Ah,
that
right, the
happened.
crime boss.
Yeah, and why their parents if and like why their parents are dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a surprise for later. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Um, I also add too that I was thinking about related to the heist stuff that um as you get further into the game, especially, y'all kind of like maybe feel similarly, I wonder. But you end up having these conversations. I think we're kind of watching some of it as it plays out. Like you end up having these like planning conversations with everybody before the heist, right? In the round table, and then you talk with like the grandma Coco, who's also like the person who's most knowledgeable about all the museums and um, the whole element of like what they mean and stuff like that, where they come from. Um, what do they call it? I didn't know about this term before playing the game. Repatriation. Um,
I,
is it
yeah,
like taking these items back to their rightful place um, after they've been stolen? I think it's like a actual term. There's like people in real life who like engage in repatriation efforts at museums that I learned. So I
I,
learned some real world things.
I like now have to. Good. Yeah, I think you're right though. Yeah, it is. Oh well, okay, yeah. Repatriation in museums, voluntary, legal, mandated return of cultural artifacts or ancestral
Kind of.
remains or sacred items to or communities.
There it is. There it is. Yeah. There's like people like actually doing this stuff like on the regular out like organizations and stuff like that this
Yeah,
is based on, which is really cool. Um, so I learned some things there, right? But yeah, like on the learning part, like they before every mission they give a briefing about the artifacts you're gonna get, and then you have these optional dialogues. I know we saw one earlier, but we have these optional dialogues to like get more information about them.
yeah.
Um, and I like that because I'm like, oh, I'm like curious, right? Like, where did it come from? Who owned it? What's the significance, cultural significance of it? The thing, like, like that's awesome stuff. I think, right?
Mm.
Um, the part that I was like a little, um, like I was wanting more of is a way to connect that information or connect that like investigation into the game experience more because it's so optional, you know. It's like a log, like it's like a a log book or a lore book. Like as you
Mm-hmm.
like engage in things in an RPG or something. Like you talk to somebody, and then more information about them shows up in your lore book. That's like you can read it if you want, but maybe you won't ever.
Yeah.
um, and I think that that's fine to have those options. But it's like it would have been nice if there was some way to kind of connect some more of that information about those artifacts into the heist itself or into the puzzles or something that like actually like incentivized us
Incentivize
as
people to
players
actually
to
learn
yeah
about it.
like
Yeah.
learn a little bit more, like because it's so optional. um just it doesn't have to be all the things, but just like a bit, right? Because even me playing, I was like, okay, this is like I'm curious, but it's like, is this connected to anything I'm about to do next, or not really? It's just like it's just information.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, then like, please save this information for me to come back to later after the heist is done. Like,
Yeah.
which is like interesting because I care about it, but it's like in the flow of the game, I'm like, yeah, I just want to get to the heist, and like it looks cool, seems significant. Give me the TLDR, and then I'll read more up on it after, kind of thing.
Yeah. No, I actually definitely felt that way because um another favorite genre of mine is similar to like Telltale games where you're like the dialogue and how they interact with the different characters. I did like that part in this game. But yeah, definitely when it came to like to the artifacts and like what the artifacts were about, I really did was hoping that throughout the puzzle part of it or gameplay part of it, you would like kind of learn more about it naturally instead of having to go
Naturally,
back. Yeah, instead of
yeah.
having to go back to your journal or whatever and reread it. Just because I personally I know that I probably won't unfortunately do that. Um, but yeah, it's still nice that they at least include the information. But
Hmm.
Yeah. I I just ran and I just encountered a voice line that did get to a point of frustration I had
hmm
with, but this voice line does suggest that the devs knew that this was a problem. When you're scouting around with the drone with a Nunu, I think, um,
Hmm.
you find in the tutorial level for it, you find a uh, one of the tables that you can use to prop up like one as a to prop up the pressure plates, and your character voice is like, I'm glad I didn't have to wander around looking for one, and like, yeah, that's what you did. Like, it was very frustrating. Like, there were some times in like the previous levels before this where I'd run around the level just being like a little bit frustrated, trying to figure out where I needed to go to find the
Yeah,
pressure plate. But yeah, that's cute.
yeah, yeah. That's why Nunu's such a great like mechanic after, because now you
Mm.
can just like have all that information up front.
Mm.
Yeah, I felt the same way. Other part too that I was on that same line that we were talking about, Darius, is like it would also been cool if, and I know this is all like constraints, right? So obviously, if the team had the money and had the time to be able to do it, they probably would have, likely. But like, it would have been nice to have more character banter during the levels. Um,
hmm
just like them talking to you, them talking amongst each other, talking about the artifacts, talking about the museum or the location, or these just different things to like
yeah,
help the characters develop more in real time. Um, that would have been really nice because you don't get a lot of time with them elsewise except like when you're in the hideout, and then all the other conversation during the levels is like the quips and like the responses to the context actions.
yeah,
um so it's like, oh man, like that's a missed thing, like it would have been really nice.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I wonder. Obviously, it's like tricky because it's like like obviously it's like maybe I don't know. Maybe there probably would. Of course, there's probably a way of being able to without taking too much time because I know it's like obviously we're in a heist, so they're probably not trying to talk about their personal lives and stuff like that. But it still would have been nice to see like at least like talk about like the location, talk about like oh I've been here before. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah, I it's like on one hand I know that it's like they kind of had to make a decision again of like will do we want to make sure that people are actually getting through the heist and not like stopping but at the same time it's like for me I'm like I would have stopped and just to hear the banter and just to hear the characters talk to each other about the environment that they're in or even just amongst themselves about each other. I don't know. Those
I
balancing act things. I don't know. I know
no,
I definitely know it's possible, but it's one of those things. I wonder if they had to like make a decision of like, do we want to? I don't know. Yeah, yeah.
I
But
think
I agree
they
too.
might have tried that.
Yeah.
Like, this is a thing that I've noticed with like a lot of other, well, mostly Zenless, but I've seen this in other open world games that have like, or games that have like the ability to explore like a free space and also voice lines that trigger when the character is in certain areas of those spaces. Uh, you kind of have to do a balancing act of letting the player run to those locations because they want to get through and experience whatever they want to say, like as quick, whatever they want to get back to the gameplay as quickly as possible. But the dialogue might last longer than it takes for the player to run from point A to point B. So, and in doing so, they might wind up like stepping and triggering multiple different dialogue bits. And like that'll lead to like the dialogue, one dialogue for one will start, they'll get halfway through and then it'll be cut off by the next dialogue trigger that they got. I think like with this particular game, I think part of the reason why they didn't have like banter in the level or with like they had it in the earlier bits of the level, like earlier bits of the game, but like with when you're trying to break into the penthouse and it's just like one like main character talking to her brother while he's on his date. But like I feel that like if you were to try and do this again, like add more banter to the game, you'd have to account for players trying to speed run the entire thing and like running around and like solving puzzles. And they might wind up getting into that same situation where they just couldn't add the dialogue that sounded natural, that didn't require the player to stop what they were doing, like to stop like running around and listen.
Yeah, I mean, there's ways around that these days, though. To be honest, um,
Yeah, I think so. I agree.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of repetition as you'll continue playing with the like context actions, for example. It's like at a certain point you're like, hey, I understand what this does. I don't need a reminder, but
Yeah.
they remind you, you know, stuff like that. Um, But yeah, there's definitely some systems you have to build some stuff to like says like, hey, like pause this conversation. If
Mm,
this other thing has more precedence to happen as far as dialogue is concerned, then start the conversation back after it's done, type things. But it
yeah.
does take work to make those things. So you know, I think that's the
Yeah,
hard part.
the other solution I think would be to you could have it so that like if the player skipped like if the player was exploring and they skipped some element of dialogue, they could it could go into like a text log and this is all the dialogue that happened in this chapter or in this section that you missed and you can go and listen to it. But yeah, so that's just a thought.
Yeah, it's a good quality of life feature. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, I do like that. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Mm, mm. Yeah. But yeah, I think that kind of like encompasses some of like the things I would have liked to have in the narrative and narrative delivery and just the dialogue stuff in general. I think
Yeah.
it would have been nice. It would have made the
Yeah.
game. I think it would have made it stronger. Considering there's such a emphasis on the narrative part in this experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah. I think definitely having more moments of just dialogue where they're just, chatting with each other throughout the mission, even just recognizing the locations that they're in would have made it definitely even more stronger, So, yeah.
Yeah.
That actually kind of answers one of my questions.
True.
Minor thing. I do like this. I do like how when I was initially looking over the UI and like the menus and stuff, I thought it was kind of like standard, like stock standard, like kind of vague sci-fi theme. But no, there are like there is like a rough element to it that I like. Like all this stuff is like it's not even. Like which is perfect. It gives it a nice little style. Like the boxes aren't exactly square. It's very like if you hover over the menu options, there's like extra little context. Like resume has this arrow saying let's go, and then it says back to Nomali's arrival. Examine level with Nunu again. Maintenance check, and let's take a break. When like each of those it gives character. It gives character to the game itself. It's like the game is talking to you. And like these are, to my understanding, all of these are context specific to each element, to like each level of the game that you're in. And that's a lot of extra work that they didn't really need to do. So that's dope.
I mean, context specific in terms of like in the hideout versus in like a mission.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like context specific in terms of the mission, and also in terms of like just anything else that people will wind up like any other situation that you're in. Cool. Like not just the mission. Like it'll be like during the section when you're running around and like trying to message people, not message people, to deliver the food to people. The return to entry, I think, says something different. Like it doesn't say go back to Nomali's arrival. It says like it'll be a summary of what you did at the start of that section.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, and yeah, that is, to my understanding, that is like a lot of like at least some extra work.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that, and then I hardly ever used it, for example.
Yeah.
What kind of security does she have?
She is unsurprisingly paranoid.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And I do think like the way that they're explaining this mechanic right now, it makes me think that like I don't know if Nunu was a core, like a design element of the game that they needed at the start. But like it just sounds like they needed some way for the player to know what they were doing firsthand before they got into a space, because maybe in earlier playtests you had to explore the area and people got confused, and they're like, okay, let's solve that by letting the player case the joint first. But how do they case it? Let's have a drone. And yeah, that's cool. I do like it. This is a really nice way to. And it's a nice mechanic. It feels nice to use.
Yeah. I think it's essential for this game at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's a nice game though. I do want, like, once I get a second, I'm going to like play through and try and see what I'm gonna play through more of it and be posting my thoughts. I haven't posted my thoughts from the last one yet, but I played through a lot. I played through a lot of our last game. Oop.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
when I
my game's freaking out. Sorry.
oh yeah, man.
Oh.
I was
Go
just
ahead,
gonna say
Darius.
that. Yeah, I was just gonna say that when I finally do get to pick up this game, um, yeah, I'll definitely need to like leave my thoughts in a channel and chat about it more. But based off the gameplay I've seen so far, though, it looks like everything's kind of excited to dive into. Probably buy it this week. Yeah. Was there any
Yeah, it's
other
got good.
last
It's got good
thoughts?
feel, good game feel. I would say most of the way. There's a few little nitpicks I have as far
Mm-hmm.
as certain aspects of like how it feels to move around, um, and also with like the dialogue system, how they have it set up. It's a few
Mm-hmm.
things I'm like, that's a weird choice. um, but it's definitely like nitpicky. Like you like look over it, kind of like, oh, that's fine, kind of things.
Yeah, it's like things that you're like, well, it's okay. Like it's like
Yeah.
yeah, I still have a good experience with the game, but I would have definitely like to
Right.
see this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, overall, like, I think overall I enjoy playing. I think the part, and Scott and I kind of mentioned this a little bit in the chat,
Mm-hmm.
like a couple of weeks ago, was like the part that's like really enjoyable about the experience, like that kind of like makes it click, I guess, is the whole like experience of planning your heist and like solving these like small puzzles is
Mm-hmm.
like because each heist is like a sequence of like small puzzles that you solve that make up the bigger puzzle, and then you solve all of those puzzles, and then now you have an open route to take to escape and like execute it. So it feels really good. Like you spend like 20 minutes planning and doing these small puzzles to set up, these like these open these doors and figure out how to get to one place to the next. And they're really simple. They're not hard puzzles per se. They're like logic puzzles. And then it feels really good when you just like you do that. You're like, okay, I got it, and then you execute it, and then you just like run and like do all the things, and then you get through quickly, and it's like yes, like I did that. Like that's a nice. That loop feels nice when you like execute it well and do the things that you plan to do. It's like that
Mm-hmm.
felt cool. So that I think that part like really just kind of makes the game feel like okay, this is good. This is enjoyable. Like just doing this loop um, over and over, um, kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
See another part I wanted to add about things today. Oh, I think well, there's probably two other things we can talk about before we wrap up,
Yeah.
but probably the comments online. I think is a good conversation as far as like from a cultural and
Yeah.
gamer standpoint of things.
I was gonna ask about that because I didn't get it. I didn't take a look
Rage
at that
bait.
there. Yeah, but I wanted
Don't
to
look.
know like.
Don't look.
Before that, I'll just mention this last little nitpick.
Okay.
Um, that I'm sure there's some feedback online about this and some reviews, but there are a lot of tutorials in the game over
Yeah.
the chapters.
Oh, okay.
Um, it's like it's one of those things where it's like and it's mostly because they're introducing new mechanics. Like at least like every chapter has a new mechanic because they introduce a new character who does a new thing, and then for introducing that new mechanic, you have to do like a VR test room to like a test mission, and it's like a tutorial test mission. Um, and it makes sense because they're introducing like a new thing all the time, and so like, but it's like also annoying that you have to go and like do this test mission, a whole mission. It's shorter than the other ones, like 5 minutes or maybe so or whatever, but like you have to go do it. um, and it kind of just like to me it feels like it messes up the pacing a little bit. that kind of like slows things down a little, and it's kind of like a little strange. It makes sense like narratively that you would have to do that. Like if you're actually in this scenario, you would want to test something before you go out and on the field. So it makes sense from a narrative perspective, but from a gameplay perspective, it feels a little awkward. Um, and I think they just decided to make that choice, and that was a choice, to do that. Um, but yeah, it was like something I'm like on the fence about. Like, I'm not sure if I prefer it that way, but that's how it is. So fine. The hard part is that like by the like later chapters when you finally unlock all the different things, like all the different team members, things are like really cool because you have all these different things you can do during a heist during a level, but you only get to do it for like a couple levels. Um, before the game's over. So you unlock everything and then you don't have a lot of time to use everything.
Oh yeah.
So it's a tricky thing that they have because of that.
Hmm. I guess that kind of does like fit into like the game's pacing. I wonder how people were thinking about that online. So you don't get to sit with the characters or you don't get to like. I imagine there's some characters who show up toward the end of the game and you don't get to interact with them a lot because it's the end of the game.
Could be Prince Alamayo's remains. The only way to get it is if you have something to prop open the shutter.
I did.
Look, Trevor.
I'm
It's able.
we're not gonna.
Oh yeah.
We won't get.
People.
Yeah. But overall, I'm excited to purchase this game fully. Here, like I said, I only played the demo and watched a couple bit of it. I purposely stopped watching gameplay of it because I really my
This is not a casual
game that I need to play.
take only what you came for.
So I'm really excited to pick it up this week. And I'll probably share more of my thoughts in the club channel, and everybody else is invited to do. But is there like any other last thoughts about the game before we wrap it up here?
Not at the moment. My controller bugged out for a sec, so I had to stop streaming.
Okay.
But
I was actually about to ask.
sorry. It like I have no clue what happened, but like all the controls got reversed and it kept taking screenshots. But yeah, so that's why I had to stop. But yeah, no, I like it. I want to see what else is there. I want to see more of the game, and I want to feel like I want to. I'll probably have better thoughts on it once I'm like further down. I want to see how the story develops. And I'd love to chat with the devs because like I do like the light element of historical like African cultural history education that's in this. Where I don't know if I don't know how real I assume most of these artifacts are real, like actual artifacts that were taken. And using this game to sort of like educate people playing it is a smart idea. Kind of like it's a form of edutainment on top of the regular like entertainment. That's dope.
Yeah. I think me and Tim kind of touched it a little bit earlier, but yeah, I definitely would have loved to learn more about the artifacts through the gameplay. So yeah. But besides that, though, I think this is a wonderful selection. You don't have any more comments or anything else before we head out here? I want to thank everybody for coming out to the Game Club discussion. We are all, like I said, we're more than welcome to keep discussing about it in the Game Club channel as well. Thank you guys for coming out. And yeah, I'm really excited to keep playing throughout this game and I share my thoughts once I, complete it myself. So yeah.
Yep, same.
Awesome, y'all. Well, yeah, you guys have a wonderful day, all right? Thank you guys for coming down to the Game Club discussion, y'all. And we'll see you guys next month.
Alrighty.
Woo.
Yeah.
Nice.